Have you ever walked out of a group situation thinking, why did I just go along with that? You're in a meeting. Someone presents an idea that clearly has problems. You notice the flaw immediately, but the first person nods. Then another says, yeah, that sounds good. Now the room feels different. Raising your hand suddenly feels heavier than it did 30 seconds ago. So you stay quiet. Later you replay the moment and wonder, why didn't I say anything? This kind of moment happens everywhere. Meetings, group chats, friend groups. Crowds have a strange effect on human behavior. People laugh harder, agree faster, or stay silent when they normally would speak. And the strange part is that it rarely feels like pressure in the moment. It just feels normal. To understand why, psychologists have spent decades studying how people behave when others are around. One of the most famous experiments was run by social psychologist Solomon Asch. Participants were shown a simple task. They looked at a line on one card and had to choose which of 3 lines on another card matched its length. The correct answer was obvious, but there was a catch. Everyone else in the room had secretly been instructed to give the wrong answer. One by one, the people before the participant confidently chose the same incorrect line. Then, it was the participant's turn. The correct answer was right in front of their eyes, but many people still followed the group and gave the wrong answer. Not because they couldn't see the difference, but because standing alone against the group suddenly felt uncomfortable. Psychologists call this conformity pressure. When several people behave the same way, your brain starts treating that behavior as the safe response. But crowd influence doesn't stop there. Another famous experiment revealed how quickly behavior can change when people enter a group role. In 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo created a mock prison inside a university basement. College students were randomly assigned to 2 roles, guards and prisoners. Everyone knew it was just a study. But within days, something unexpected happened. The students playing guards became increasingly controlling and aggressive. The students playing prisoners became quiet, stressed, and submissive. Nothing about their personalities had changed, but the group environment and social roles reshaped how they behaved. The experiment had to be stopped early because the psychological effects were becoming too intense. What these studies reveal is something important. When humans enter a group environment, the brain quietly starts solving a different problem. Not what is correct, but what keeps me aligned with the group. That shift affects several things at once. Your brain begins using other people as cues for how to respond. Your sense of individual visibility becomes weaker. Emotions spread more easily through the group, and responsibility begins to diffuse across everyone present. That's why people sometimes laugh at jokes they didn't actually find funny, or stay silent even when they notice something is wrong. The crowd didn't force the behavior, but it changed the signals your brain was using to decide how to act. And underneath all of this is one very old instinct. Your brain is constantly calculating something in social environments, not logic, not truth, but belonging. And once that system switches on, your behavior can start shifting in ways that feel surprisingly automatic. Once you understand how crowds influence behavior, something interesting happens. You start noticing the moment when the influence begins, and that gives you a small advantage, because crowd behavior isn't something you completely escape, but it is something you can manage. The first shift is simple. Slow down your reaction. Crowds speed up emotional responses. Someone laughs. You laugh instantly. Someone criticizes a person. The group tone becomes negative within seconds. Before reacting, pause for a moment. Just a few seconds. Ask yourself one quick question. Would I respond this way if I were alone? That small pause often reveals something surprising. Many group reactions are automatic. The pause gives your brain time to return to its own judgment. The second shift becomes useful in group discussions. Imagine a meeting where everyone quickly agrees with an idea that has problems. Many people think they must either stay silent or openly disagree. But there's a third option that works better. Ask a question. For example, I'm curious how this would work if this situation happens. Questions do something powerful in groups. They slow the momentum of automatic agreement, and they give other people permission to think more carefully. Often, several people in the room were already unsure. They were simply waiting for someone to open the door. The third shift involves emotion. Crowds amplify emotional signals. One anxious person can spread tension through a room. One calm voice can stabilize the group. So when a conversation starts becoming overly negative or heated, a small change in tone can shift the direction. A balanced comment, a calmer response, a thoughtful question. These small signals often redirect the emotional current of the group, because most people are not consciously trying to follow the crowd. They're simply reacting to the signals around them. Once you start recognizing these patterns, group behavior becomes much easier to understand. You begin to see the invisible forces shaping conversations and decisions. Social proof, emotional contagion, diffusion of responsibility. And instead of being carried by those forces, you start interacting with them intentionally. You pause before reacting. You ask questions that slow group momentum. You notice when emotions are spreading through a room. And gradually, something changes in how you see yourself in social situations. You're no longer just another person reacting to the crowd. You're someone who understands how the crowd works. And once you see that pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Meetings, group chats, online discussions. I'm curious where you've seen this happen in your own life. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy learning the psychology behind everyday behavior, subscribe for more videos like this.